Hello, tankers. So today we're gonna take a look at the Waffentrager auf E100. This is the tank they just removed in the 9.15 patch, so you can't play this anymore. I did stream this tank for a couple hours about a week before it was removed, trying to get one last epic game out of it, and I didn't really succeed. So I decided to go back through my replays and see if I could find a good replay. And I found two. So what I'm going to do is just take a quick look at the tank. You can see that the tank actually had the hull of an E100, so it's got quite a bit of armor on the front. The lower plate's a little weaker, but obviously, you know, the trick there is to hide it. Upper plate was really very good. The side, it's kind of small, but it's very weak there, but offered the opportunity to do some side scraping. So if you angled that highly, you could get bounces off that. Unfortunately, no one shot at the hull of this thing. You had this huge turret with absolutely no armor on it, so you could load high explosives from any tank this would come up against and penetrate. Despite the fact that he had this great hull, the armor on the tank really was worthless because of this huge turret. When I first ran into these on the battlefield, these things scared the heck out of me. If it was fully loaded, there wasn't a tank you could be in that really couldn't be taken out with one clip of these things. So, you know, when you see a tank like that that scares you so much, of course, that's the tank you work real hard. You want more than anything else. So I really worked hard to get up to this tank. I did finally get it just as they were nerfing it, and I didn't do too well actually in it, not win rate wise. It was a lot of fun to play, but I wasn't very successful in terms of winning. So the tank on the left uses the gun with the 4 shells, and the second column is the same tank with the gun that has 5 shells, and then of course the third one is the gorilla. The gorilla has a couple hundred less health, but it's similar. The gorilla is much faster, 60 kilometers forward, 20 backwards, as opposed to 40 and 15. And the reason that makes sense is that the gorilla is much lighter. It's got 40-ton weight rather than 100 tons. And that comes because you can see the armor we were looking at earlier. The hull armor on the Waffentrager is actually pretty good, whereas on the gorilla it matches kind of the turret. I mean, it's a lightweight tank destroyer. Really didn't make sense to have this huge turret with no armor on it and you know, all this armor sitting on the hull. So now they kind of match up. But that makes the tank much lighter. You get a much faster tank. Engine power, it's a little bit less, but you get a much better horsepower to tonnage ratio because it's so much lighter. Traverse speeds, same. The terrain resistance are very similar. The Waffentrager was a little bit better on hard surfaces, and the gorilla is a little better on the soft surfaces. View range is a little better on the gorilla, allows it to be a little sneakier, so that's good. And then the armor piercing and heat and high explosive with the 4-shot gun is basically the same as with the gorilla, and with this 5-shot gun you do take a decrease in the amount of damage that your shells put out. Penetration is better with the 5-shot, but the gorilla beats both of them with the armor piercing. Heat is similar to the 4-shot, but they're all pretty similar. The gorilla 5-shot did have a slight advantage with its APCR versus the heat. And the high explosive, they range from 65 to 85 in terms of penetration. Shell speed, the armor piercing is very fast on the gorilla, which allows you to hit surprise shots with all that much more ease. The 4-shot AP on the Waffentrager was actually pretty slow, almost half of what the new gorilla is, whereas the 5-shot gun was a little bit faster. The gorilla is very similar to the higher damage gun with the 4 shells. The 5-shell was actually, the DPM was lower because the damage was so much smaller. It only cost you 8 seconds more to reload that extra shell, but the damage of these shells was quite a bit less than the other one. I actually opted for this gun. Maybe I would have been better off with the higher DPM. I think between having the extra shell and, more importantly, the higher penetration on the AP is why I opted for that gun. Okay, so we'll get into some gameplay on Serene Coast. It's a pretty even looking tier 10 match. Each team has 3 heavies and similar number of arty, two arty on each team. The heavies match up real well. Each team has an E75, a top tier tier 9 heavy, and 2 tier 8 heavies. XDM says it's a 54%er, so that's you know, within spitting distance of an even match, and so it's looking like it should be a good battle. So first thing I'm trying to do is figure out where I'm going to be most useful, and I never really did figure out how well to play this tank. As I said earlier, my win rate was not real stellar in this. It was sometimes fun to play. Did a lot of damage, took a lot of kills, but had trouble pulling down the games. So here, initially I'm heading up here. I think there's some rocks just over the tracks there that I was heading towards that you can snipe up at the battle that happens with the mediums to the northwest. But as I started to get close, I was watching the map and noticed that our E75 was looking a little lonely out there. And I figured he was going to run into some heavies and could really use some support. The northeast looked like we'd send up a pretty good force. We got a heavy going up there, the Lerve. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to be better off supporting the east flank over here. And I take up a position here, trying not to get spotted, and expecting their heavies to come pushing down around the corner. So at this stage of playing with this tank, I think I'd come to the conclusion that the best way to do it was to make sure that you didn't get spotted early, because once you get spotted in this tank, basically everyone focused you. So I saw the M46 over there, and I'm thinking, well, maybe there's a shot over there. I really didn't want to leave this flank because I was really expecting the heavies to come around at any second. But I take a peek over there, and yeah, there's too much in my way. It's not worth going for that. The WZ-120 is making a run for the enemy flag. I hadn't really figured that out yet. I thought he was just going out there to try and flank that Korean Patton, the M46KR. But he's making a beeline straight for the enemy flags. Going to do a hero run, try and spot the enemy arty. And there he goes. He goes around the corner. So that's great. If we can take out the enemy arty, that would be a huge benefit to this game. So he's poking around the corner, and then he finds the enemy heavy, which I didn't expect them to be there. I really sort of thought that they would be coming down that eastern flank. So he's now totally outgunned, in trouble. And with the heavies up there, I knew that I didn't have to worry about hiding behind the rock anymore. So I came up, and now you're going to get to see what the Waffentrager can do. Put 2 quick shots into him, put a third, and he's gone. So that was a full house, basically a full house, top tier heavy on the enemy team, taken out in what, 6 seconds from the Waffentrager. So I've got 2 more shells in there, and I'm thinking, can I do any more? But we lost our vision out there, and so that's basically it. So that's the dream encounter you want to do, from long range, unloading a clip, and didn't get spotted. Now our E75 was also pretty surprised, I think, that the heavies hadn't pushed, and now that their E75's down, he's getting pretty brave. So he's pushing forward. So I started heading up to support him, but while all this is happening, we notice on the northwest there, we've completely lost that flank. So all those tanks we sent up there, they got killed, and you see we're now in a pretty big deficit, 6-9. And I'm realizing this and saying, we're going to get captured. So it doesn't matter if I support the E75. If I don't get back to base, you know, they've got 5 or 6 tanks, mediums, rolling in towards our cap. Now our arty are screaming for help, telling us to defend the base, and they're bailing out of there, as they should. There's no way they can defend against those mediums. But I'm fully reloaded at this point and decide to head back and see what I can do. Especially if those tanks are on low health, I might be able to defend the base. And I spot this Mutz. Drop 2 into him real quick. He's gone. So E100 doing what it does best. Now I've got 3 shells left in the gun. And it takes a minute to reload, so it's, you know, this is a question. Do you reload with 3 shots? I see this guy here. Got the slimmest of shots, but they start capping, and so I know where they are. If they put a couple more on the cap, they'll cap very fast. So I decide to get around the corner and see what I can do. And now I definitely can't reload, because if they're all on the cap, whoop, and then they show up around the corner. So 3 shells. 1, 2, 1 tank down, 3, put 1 into the Korean Patton. Now I'm empty. He doesn't know I'm empty, so he backs out. So our Mutz goes in and gets a reset, so that's good. But I'm kind of stuck here. I'm afraid that M46 Korean is going to figure out that I'm reloading, so I keep backing up, get away from him, and I run into this Patton. He puts 1 into me. I aim my gun at him, hopefully scare him away, and tuck into a corner. Bat Chat's coming around here, so he's going to let me know if someone's approaching. The Patton's moving in on me, so I'm a little nervous about that. But then the E75 comes to my rescue, but he starts taking hits. Now here's a little misplay I made. I basically sat back here reloading, and the E75's in serious trouble. He's getting shot at from multiple directions. I'm completely reloaded at this point. Had I moved forward, I may have been able to save that last shot on the E75. But I come around, Patton sees me, 1 shot, 2 shots. I think I even bounced his return fire, which was a good thing. I'm going to need that health. And then another tank comes around the corner. There's the 46, the Korean. Now I'm reloaded, have 2 shots for him. He's gone. So I'm just eating them up. I've gotten 5 kills already. Only 1 shell left now. But pulled back the scores. We're 12-12. So feeling somewhat more confident. Go ahead and go with a reload. Bat Chat's pinging the enemy arty. I don't know what he's thinking we should do, but looked like he was going to go off in that direction. Sees me going in this direction, so he turns around. I'm thinking I'm going to go and peek around at the base, but then realize that I'm still a ways away from reloading, so I back it off. I don't want to get spotted before I'm reloaded, but I want to get ready to spot the base in case they start capping again. And Bat Chat is running up the western flank. He's crossing the rail at this point. Our other arty is sitting back there, and he spots the T-32 coming down. So I say, okay, maybe I can take out the T-32. So I start backing up around, and that's when, unfortunately, I discover, it turns out unfortunately for the Canaveran, I get a very lucky shot and ammo rack him. So that leaves me with 3 shells in my gun. And if I remember right, the last time I saw the T-32, he had just over 1,500 or close to 1,500. So if I penetrate all 3 of these, I can actually take him out. So I'm sitting here. I wasn't probably doing that calculation at actually I guess he's got 1,100, but it still is going to take 3 penetrations to take him out, really. So that was tragic there. That first one didn't go in. The second one goes in for 557. Next one goes in for another 588, leaving him in a 1-shot with 31 health. Too bad I didn't roll a little bit higher there. But now I've got to reload, and he takes me out. So on 31 health, he manages to take me out, and now the real tragedy, we spot our arty sitting off this little ledge. And the bat chat, other bat chat going for the arty. If he can take him out, we actually have a pretty good shot here. He's actually, both of these guys are actually outside of my render distance, so we're not going to see them as I move the camera over there. But we will see the M53 take a, there's his shot. You can actually see the tracer come in. There it goes. And for a second there, it looked like it took something out, but that was actually the enemy arty shotgunning our arty. So that was terribly unfortunate. That leaves us with just this arty against their arty and the low health T-34, was it? T-32, I guess. But unfortunately, this guy is has driven down here, and he can't get out. So I think he took a look to see if he had any shots at the flag, which he doesn't. And then he rather than just sit here, he does. You got to give him some credit. He does actually try and drive himself out of here. He's trying to get an angle here that with some traction. But he's true and well stuck, and his efforts essentially just give him a bath. So down he goes, and this turns out to be a bit of a heartbreak. So over 7,000 damage, 6 kills, Top Gun, and a loss. So, taking a look at the post-game stats, got a plethora of badges, including the high caliber and Top Gun. You see sharpshooter, type tank sniper, and master gunner, as well as a first class badge and several of the minor badges. Top in damage by a pretty big margin, 7,158 damage. Next closest was 1,700. On their team, the highest was this Patton, who managed to do almost 6,000, so good game to him. Experience-wise, 981 damage, which was almost more than anyone on the enemy team. Only one person did more damage, more experience than I did. A portion of that, both that 981 and the 71,000, was due to the courageous resistance. And so you can see I actually made almost 30,000 credits. Module damage, tracks on the Patton. We killed the radio operator on the E75. Took him out very, very quickly. Did 1,400 damage to him in 3 shots. T-32, just tracks. This Carnarvon, he's the one we ammo racked with the 2 shots at the end. First shot apparently damaged his ammo rack, and the second one took it out. The Panzer Mutz, we hit him twice, but didn't do any damage to him. Centurion, we hit him twice, and then the Patton, we took him out with 3 shots, killed his driver, and destroyed a track. So now, just so that that heartbreak isn't how we're left. We want something better than a heartbreak to remember the Waffentrager for. So here we have another game. This one on Swamp. Again, this one's more heavily a tier 10. We do have a pretty significant tier 10 tier 10 tank advantage. We have looks like 2 more tier 10s than they do. But both teams have 2 top tier heavies. They do have a number more tier 9 heavies. They have 1 more tier 9 heavy than us, plus they've got a tier 8 heavy thrown in. XVM gave us a 42% chance to win this. So on paper, this looks like it might be a little bit tougher, other than the fact that we do have a tier 10 heavy tank advantage. So again, I'm going to try and play this campy. I'm going to try and stay hidden. I don't want to rush forward. I want to find some place where I can snipe from and not get spotted. So I'm going to head out to this little jetty here, and with luck I can spot the heavies that battle up in the ruins up there and give our heavies some support. And sometimes you can even shoot across to tanks that camp the middle from the other side. And our AMX is heading across there, and sure enough he spots their light, so I go back to see if I can get some shots on him, and as I do, I get spotted by this T-62, or maybe the AMX spotted me, but in any case I get to shoot at the T-62. I think I bounced one and missed a couple. But that's the thing about this gun. It's so scary. The T-62 might have, against another tank, tried trading with me. But when this tank was in the game, you were crazy if you decided to sit back and try and trade with it. So he immediately ran away. And he did get one shot into me. But I take a reload and see if I can't get some vision, or get feather out some shots on the tanks on the other side. This SP1C kind of pulls in front of me here. It makes me a little nervous. I always get nervous when a tank pulls in front of me or behind me, because if he gets spotted and the enemy starts shooting at him, I could end up getting shot. But he does have good camo rating. He's using the bushes pretty well, so I think that so far I haven't been spotted. Get a reload, fire one off at the Patton, that one bounces. Get the next two in, bounce the third one. I only have one left, so I'm a little nervous about taking the shot. SP1C keeps firing at him. And then finally I think he's staying still long enough that I missed the shot. I'm not even sure how that one hit, but I lucked out and managed to hit him with my third one. So very quickly put 1,600 damage into that poor guy and then take him out of the game. So now this battle here, they're actually doing a pretty good job of working over our heavies in that corner. So they now have a pretty good numbers advantage against us. So the heavy corner isn't looking great in near the ruins. And I'm getting to sit back and reload. At this stage, we've lost one tier 10. No, we've lost two tier 10s and they've lost one. So the SP1C is still firing away. I'm getting close to a reload, I think. Unfortunately at this point, well, so then the T-57 shows up. I'm hoping I get a shot off at him. He drops down out of sight. I move forward, and then the M103 pops up. I get one into him. He's a one shot. Then the T-57 shows up. He's an important one to take out. I take him out, get to take the M103 out, and I have one left. Go ahead and put it in the IS-7. So that's what this machine can do. I think I hit 4 out of 5 of them. I took out 2 tanks and did some serious damage to the IS-7. Even with all that support, though, we've pretty much lost the ruins now. Fortunately, they only have a couple tanks left there. I think 3 tanks left in that corner. I've taken out 3 of them. But they start pushing further. And I'm sitting back waiting for my reload again. Unfortunately, I'm reloading as I would have had these nice shots on the IS-7. But that's the only balancing piece to this tank, is that it has a huge reload like this. So I'm waiting here, and then the disaster strikes for this tank. I get spotted. So I know this the spot isn't all that safe anymore. Not exactly sure where I got spotted from. I think there's I think the T-54 is getting close to us. Maybe it was that boulder. No, it was the T-54, I think. So I decided I got to move to a new position. They still do have arty, so that could be bad for me. That T-54, I think, is hoping to get some more vision and shots into me. I think the RAMX-30 goes after him, fortunately. So then I back up around here. Thanks I guess the Korean Patton ended up taking him out from across the field. So hoping to get some shots off in this direction, and then the T-44 shows up. I put one into him. Still worried about the Artie. Oh no, the Artie's gone. So now it's just these two heavies. Pretty much it's just a cleanup at this point. We got a bunch of mediums. Should be able to easily handle these guys. But I back up, see what I can do. And the IS-7 accommodates me by backing around the corner. 1, 2, put in a quick 964 damage to him, and then this nothing left but our mediums to clean up this T-34. So the tier 10s just come around the corner and clean him up. And this SP1C gets one in there too, but he didn't stand a chance. So there we go. This was a pretty good game, obviously. Almost 5,000 damage and a win. Post-game results. Little happier results this time with the victory. We did get the high caliber, but not quite as many badges. Didn't do as much damage. And we only got a second class for this battle. Looking at the team damage, once again we did more damage than anyone else on our team, but not by quite as much as a margin this time. And we were only third in experience. Still made a pretty decent profit, 23,000, some fairly good crew experience. Vehicle damage, tracks in the engine on the IS-7. We hit him 3 times for 1534. Actually ended up destroying them. But you see, most of the tanks we hit, we destroyed. That's the danger of the Waffentrager. Once you got, if it was loaded and it got you in its sights, it didn't take long to take you out of the game. So this Patton, 3 shots, 1580 damage in 6 seconds. T-57 only took 1 shot. He was already in pretty low health, but hit him for 553. The M103, 2 shots, took out his radio, and then the T-44, 1 shot, and just took out his track. So the Waffentrager, it was a fun tank to play, but frustrating because it's difficult to get wins in. And while I haven't played the Gorilla 15 replacement for very many games, I think I already at the first 4 games I won 3 out of. I don't think I've ever won 3 out of 4 games in a row at any given point with the Waffentrager. Personally, am I going to miss this tank? No, I'm not going to miss this tank. It was very frustrating to play. Was it fun sometimes to play? Yeah, it was fun to wipe out a tank in 8 seconds or less. I think you can get that in other tanks. Some of the other autoload, the T-57, you still can get that experience every now and then. So I hope you enjoyed my farewell YouTube video to the Waffentrager auf E100, and look forward to getting some good gameplay in the replacement. Thanks for watching, and have a good night, everyone.